So a big draw to Brazos for me was seeing this integration of study and practice. Felt like how I grew up, there was a lot of practice without study, and then Baylor was a lot of study without practice. And both of those felt awkward, and so liked how this came together. And could talk about how Brazos does this really in a number of ways, because they overlap and you've heard some already, but one that's been meaningful for me has been with vocational discernment, and just kind of the purpose of work and vocation broadly. So feel like before I share, an important preface is just a glimpse into college Jess. There was just a lot of striving is really the word that comes to mind. Kind of did it in the name of wanting to maximize my time at school. So it just meant taking a lot of courses and working a lot of jobs and just wanting to maximize things. But I think if I had slowed down and really been honest, there was something a little more existential going on about why there was kind of this restlessness, like the work beneath the work. So that is kind of pre-Brazos, what a lot was going on. So the first place where this was really challenged most concretely was Dr. Wood came to our class, and we talked about icons for the class, and learned about how icons and art are different mediums, where with art, really the viewer gazes upon the art and is able to come up with like meaning about the art and kind of project their own perspective on it. Whereas with an icon, really all the viewer does is receive because the meaning is already there, and really the icons gaze upon us. I hope I got that right, Dr. Wood. So we learned about this. We had a time in the class to pray with an icon and to receive from the icon. And that whole class really resonated with me, and I wasn't totally sure why, but just it was there. And then a few weeks later, it was the end of our first semester, we read Ponder These Things, which was just lovely, and would recommend it all to you if you haven't read it already. But this book goes through different icons of Madonna and Child, and we discussed it. It was actually my birthday, and so we went to Harvest. So it was a good day to begin with. But there was this one section of it that I'll read to you guys that, yeah, just shifted a lot of things for me. So I should have brought it in, but it's this icon. The One Who Points the Way is the name of it. So he says, in this icon, Mary is who she is by pointing away from herself. Her identity is caught up in leading us to Jesus. She is the one who points the way in several senses, therefore. The way to life is the path away from self-contemplation and self-presentation, from putting oneself before the world as an isolated unit, a solid lump of human material sufficient to itself. So we read that, and just through discussion, just this big shift in identity broadly and how this incorporates into work, where I had seen just so much striving and kind of me creating my own meaning, when really it's just to receive and to point to Christ. And we, in one of our classes, talked about this as kind of modernity has you creating your identity, whereas before you really just received what was bestowed upon you. And so this was just very helpful, and I think articulating some of the pressure and burden that I had felt, and then just kind of going back to Brazos being study and practice, felt like I had this space to learn something really meaningful to me, and but then also had the space to put it into practice in a way that I'm so grateful for. And So vocational discernment is a part of the program. We meet with Paige, our life coach, and it's just a space to discern our vocations. But how the space is set up is with this logic of what has the Lord already gifted you with, and where have you seen that in your life broadly. So 2 weeks ago, we did this activity where Paige had me go through 10 moments in my life that were meaningful and where felt like I came alive and the Lord was using me, and like starting in childhood. And so we talked about it for the hour and a half, and it was a lot of fun. But it was just so clearly what the Lord where he had come into my life in a way that just reminds me a lot of what we had talked about. And so that's been really meaningful to me, and want to turn it into a prayer. Like, that's the vision. Don't think that I've gotten there, and maybe won't, but just a new way to think about work and how the Lord is calling me.